Hello, everyone. Let's
Hi.
start by saying y'all look fabulous, as I always do, but it's always very, very true. Sandra, I see you with your Sprina fur.
You know, homage to Ava, the not co-captain, but first mate of the SS Sprina. Yeah.
True,
And it's
true,
cold in my room. That too.
true. And Tara, welcome. We're so excited to have you. We've shouted you out so much because you are our first person that we followed when we started our account. Port Misery, we're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm shooting live from Port Misery. I've taken up Brooklyn's old room at the Quartermains. I'm very comfortable. Tracey just left.
I love what you've done with the place.
Yes. We moved the stairs around.
I'm glad you've taken down the Christmas tree. And we obviously would be remiss if we did not say happy birthday to Tanya. Oh, we miss you. And hope that you are having a great birthday. So we're really excited to talk to you. Sad that Tanya's not here, but it's going to be a good episode. And I'm hoping that I talk to Tara a lot about stuff that I don't put on main. So hopefully I don't get us canceled, like myself canceled for just saying something that's like wild that I usually say in DMs. So let's go with it.
Jest. Everything's in jest.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Except when it's not, but judge for yourselves.
You know, just anytime Tracey prefaces something with, I hope I don't get us canceled, I'm just always delighted by whatever comes next. Shocked sometimes, but delighted nonetheless.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Because I try to be nice sometimes. It's Sandra's mouth will be like, I didn't even say anything controversial yet. It's fine. Typically we have like a spoiler, like light episode, and like maybe we'll do spoilers at the end. But because this is gonna be a free-flowing conversation today, like warning. These are all spoilers that have been in the like news feed. So if you're on Twitter, like you would have seen them. So apologies, friends, but they're gonna be sprinkled throughout the episode. So I'm gonna get into the recap. I tried to keep it short, so there might be things that are missing. Whatever. So y'all ready for the recap?
Yep.
All right. We start the week back at the cabin with the teens. Trina emerges from her room and doesn't remember what happened. She asks the question that everyone should be wondering, which is, does one hot toddy make you black out? She makes peace with Joss and Cam, and they cheer to friendship. In the Uber home, Spencer and Esme argue. Can you imagine being that Uber driver? Yikes. Esme cries victim tears, and it seems like Spencer is on to her, but pretending not to be. Spencer texts Trina, and she ignores it. Stella and Curtis hang out at Charlie's. Curtis tells Stella that Hat Daddy was in the witness protection program, to which Stella gives a, oh, really? Hat Daddy shows up because he left his credit card at the bar, and when Stella gets a moment alone with him, she asks, why are you lying? I was personally struck by how many Black folks they had in Charlie, and I really liked them. Christina and Alexis have a heart-to-heart about Harmony that ends with Chrissy giving her mom approval to be friends with Harmony. Harm Lexus rising. We also find out that Sam is conflicted about Dante and Drew because, God forbid, we see that play out on screen before this week. Willow and Michael decide to go to Paris. Clearly, Michael has learned his French from Beauty and the Beast. But Willow can't find her birth certificate. It's giving Trump sending people to Hawaii to find Obama's birth certificate, but I digress. Willow asks Harmony to find it, and when she tells her she will, she goes to run to Alexis, because apparently when she was a part of a different cult, she forged Willow's birth certificate. Ned and Olivia renew their vows in the cute living room in front of their family and friends. Tracey tries to have a moment with Ned before she heads out back to Amsterdam, and the WSB shows up to arrest her for counterfeiting the Ice Princess. Drew demands they call Anna, who shows up like a boss and makes them drop the warrant. Anna asks Victor about Valentin and tells Maxie that Valentin might have a lead on Louise, but hasn't talked to him since he left a voicemail. Austin puts the pieces together and realizes Bailey is actually Weezy Faison and realizes Maxie kissed him to distract him. Anna heads back to the hospital, and Austin tells Maxie he knows. They work it out. They share another kiss, and to channel Tanya, I don't want to see it. Randomly turns out Spinelli is Maxie's babysitter. BOQ and Chase set the record straight on their relationship, and before they can kiss, they realize that Weezy is missing. Peter and Dante have words before they're transferred to Pentonville, which ends with Mac being shot, Dante with a head wound, but shirtless, and Peter escaping with Weezy. Despite warnings from Ned, Olivia, and Carly telling him not to, Sonny puts together a grand gesture on the Haunted Star to win Carly back. After they talk on the phone, Christina believes that Carly is not coming and goes back to tell Sonny, who is devastated. Chrissy heads back to Charlie's and is telling Molly over the phone what happened, and Liesl overhears. In our Sprina babies, Spencer has to turn himself into Spring Ridge. You would think that boy was about to do like hard time, but free Spencer anyway. And he is clearly distracted, hoping Trina is all right. He has a conversation with Kevin that causes him to go to the art gallery to find Trina, who has been avoiding his calls and texts. Ava gives him a warning about Trina's happiness before leaving them alone because she can't help being a shipper. They talk and come close to a kiss before Esme interrupts. Spencer's family shows up and Laura takes him off to Spring Ridge. So reactions and non-Sprina related fave moments for the week.
You go ahead, Tara.
I was like, I have a list. So I really enjoyed everyone acting like Maxie putting up some chairs and some flowers was like the Crazy Rich Asians wedding. They're like, oh my God, Maxie, like, this is amazing. I was like, this got some chairs, but like, that was amazing to me because like everybody's acting. I'm not even making fun of the acting. I thought the acting was on point because they were really like, it's so beautiful. It really captures the moment. And I'm like, they literally put some chairs in the living room and some flowers behind them and lit some candles. But it captured the moment. So like that was my favorite moment.
Yeah. I mean, it did capture the moment of these vow renewals that nobody really asked for and feels invested in. So I can see that.
Sandra, your favorite moment? Ask me how this whole show is gonna go. Just me on a frame.
My favorite moment was also at the vow renewal. And it was Anna ordering the WSB agents out of the Quartermain living room after they tried to arrest Tracey. We'll discuss your conduct later. Can you just get the fuck out of here?
Loved it.
It was just it was the bad bitch moment of the week.
Is her clearance back? Did she get her clearance back? Is her clearance back?
Who fucking knows?
She is the clearance. Anna V. Devane. She is clearance.
Also, okay. She had no clearance. She was like, I don't have clearance to know any of this. Like Sam and Dante were like, where's Drew? She was like, I don't have any clearance. I have no idea.
I don't need clearance to emasculate these men though.
That part.
There we go.
She had her Anna Devane clearance. You're right.
Period. Loved it. I loved Dante and Peter.
Yes.
Because Peter was so ridiculous, but Dante, I was like, I have feelings right now. Like Dante was like, you have no idea. And I was like, I don't have an idea, but Sam said she has no complaints. Woo. And so I would imagine that that's to be true. So that was like my favorite moment. It actually gave Dante something to do. And you actually got a chance to like see his personality. You got a chance to see a little bit of like, not just like the good, like reserved Dante, but like the fuck with me if you want to Dante. And I loved it. So that was it for me. I loved it.
I love suit wearing Dante as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dapper Dante.
A little bite-sized snack.
Mm-hmm.
I almost chose that.
My favorite of our clips ever was when you called him a charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
So Tanya usually does like performer of the week. But we're gonna let Sandra do it this week. Tell us who your performer of the week is.
Big shoes to fill. Well, I'm not gonna even pretend like I even contemplated picking anyone else but Nicholas Chavez and Sydney Michaela. It was such an easy choice.
Yes.
You know, the almost kiss that blew out like every other storyline that's been happening the last couple weeks and just overshadowed everything. It was just so good. Like the nervousness that they had and the vulnerability like going into the moment was so sweet. It was so sweet. And there was just like lots of little touches. And of course, we're going to dive way deep into like this whole arc. But I really loved how Sydney played that kind of starting off acting angry with him. But we actually know that her heart's not really in it because of the conversation she just had with Ava. We're like, you're not really mad at him. You're barely trying, because I know what it looks like when you're trying and you're barely trying.
Yep.
And that Spencer kind of like, he knows exactly what he's there to do, and like he's just bracing himself for it. And like even with all like the nervousness and the resistance, like everything that's happening between them just feels inevitable, and that they're finally accepting it. It was just like, who are these actors on our screen?
Yes.
Just acting circles around the adults, just circles constantly. And so then there was just also all the build-up scenes that they had leading up to this week. You know, like the text message scene. How can there be that much chemistry in a text message? Like people melt. I mean, you know, Tara, you shared that beautiful piece of artwork of a video of this, you know, so Twitter reaction to it. It's just like text message. Woo! I loved Spencer just like looking physically ill, worrying about Trina, and then immediately looking like the picture of health as soon as he walks into the gallery. And all the little moments of like Ava trying to put up a mirror to Trina about Spencer's feelings for her and vice versa. So both because of that scene and also like everything leading up to it, it was just an easy choice. And I will say, I would put I tried to approach it from how Tanya approaches it too. I don't know if it's what she would have chosen. I think it might have been, but I chose it because it also is like what made me feel the most. Mm-hmm. Feel the most and the most things. So.
Yeah. I think Tanya would have chosen Ned and Olivia at the vow renewal, because I actually I've never really cared about them as a pairing, as a couple, and even I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful, and I felt something. So like it's clear that I was always going to feel something with Sprina. I was shipping Sprina before we even saw Nicholas Chavez. You know, like when we read they were gonna like recast Spencer, we were like, oh yeah, that's Trina's Princess Trina, we're in it. And so they are amazing, and they have never let me down. My expectations have only risen for them. So I'm not taking anything away from their amazing performance. But what I never expected was to care about Ned and Olivia. And even I was like,
same. Sweet. Yeah. I was like, oh, Wally. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember.
His scene with Tracey too was so good. Like when they were saying goodbye, I was like,
yeah. Okay. It's very sweet.
Who do I think Tanya? Happy birthday, Tanya. It's huge shoes to fill. Maybe a combination of Kevin and Ava, because like Kevin for sort of like getting Spencer to see like the person who's important to you is not currently in this restaurant, you know, so you need to make sure you're saying goodbye to everyone who matters. And then Ava, because she is not Trina in this situation in her life. She's Spencer. She's the person that like needs to be given chances and stuff like that. I mean, I think she still thinks of herself with like that with Nicholas, even as garbage as he is. Like she thinks of herself as the bad one, because that's usually who she is, like Franco aside. That's why, like, when she was like, oh, like, tell you shouldn't be doing these things as a young girl or a young woman. And I'm like, girl, you were dating serial killers and married men at your age, but whatever. But like, I love that she kind of defends Spencer because she sees herself in Spencer. She doesn't necessarily see herself in Trina. She sees Kiki in Trina.
Yeah.
And I like that relationship. Usually I would be like, this is weird because she's projecting her dead daughter onto this girl, but they more or less makes it work. And so I think that, Tanya was like really like Kevin and Ava kind of bringing Spencer together. Also, shout out to random Black prison guard who was murdered unnecessarily in the Peter. Like, I was really like, really, we gotta kill this Black guy. Just a shout out to him, RIP him. Like, my bad.
What was he paid for?
They were like, y'all wanted diversity.
Damn you, Peter.
You wanted diversity. Now you want to complain. Just kill him. So I want to like deep dive into like Sprina. So want to like say, I think a lot about the pressure that is put specifically on Sydney's shoulders. Because I was like talking to a couple of people and I was like, this is something I've never seen before. Like, I've watched soaps my whole last life. In the womb, I was watching Days with my mom and my sister. And so at that age, like the teenage kind of like future super couple buildup, I've actually never seen it with a Black girl. Mm-hmm. We've seen, like Black women be able to carry pairings. We saw that with like Evangeline and One Life to Live, or we've seen it obviously with Drew on Y&R. But we've never seen somebody like that age, like in that kind of teen scene storyline, carry that kind of story. And so I think a lot about like this pressure that's put on Sydney and how well she carries it. And I'm like, and that's why usually I don't hop on people's mentions, but if you have something bad to say about Sprina or Trina, I'm in that shit. Like, and I think because she has to carry so much, even when everybody was like mad coming out of last week, everybody including me, coming out of like last week, I was like, damn, I wonder how if she saw any of that. Because people were also like, well, how does she feel about having to do the story? And so anyway, as I just can never praise her enough for putting this performance forward with all of that pressure. I don't know. What do you, Tara, Sandra, what do y'all think about just Sprina in general?
I love Sprina. I was gonna say the last time I remember a young Black girl carrying a teen thing was One Life to Live, and it was Destiny and Matthew, and that was horrendously handled. They had her get pregnant, and then he went into a coma, and then he got out of the coma, and he was like, I don't want either one of you. And you were like what? And then when it went to the online version, they cast a skinny, light-skinned Black girl as Destiny. They didn't even get the original actress. It was just such a mess. And I remember reading, because I didn't watch the online, but I remember reading about it and being like, I don't want that for another young Black girl. Let them blonde lives matter, whatever. But once they brought Trina on, because that's my thing, is like, I want representation for people. I want that representation in a space where people want it, not where people feel like they have to put it in or someone's going to say something. And I think that that's what's happening a lot on this soap, is that like diversity is being injected, but it's not being utilized correctly. It's just like a set piece. It's like the Metro Court elevator. Like, here's Terry, like do something with Terry or don't have a Terry character. But Trina, like Sydney came on with such charisma and so much spunk just with the little she was given. Like we made up a Black story for her before the show gave her one. And then they gave her one because we had already devised this fictional backstory for her. And so now, like, I think we're just so worried about where is it going to go. Possibly because a lot of people are former One Life to Live fans and they've seen what happens, because who was Taya's daughter? That's who Matthew wanted. He did not want Destiny. Right. He wanted some white girl. And it's like, that is, as much as that's real life, it's not the real life that people of color want to spend an hour of their day watching. Like, we want escapism too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be easier to have faith if they didn't just so clearly this accidentally happened, right? Like, so much of what works about Sprina is the choices that Nicholas and Sydney make.
Yeah.
And then they build off of those choices. But if the chemistry hadn't been what it was, if the casting hadn't been what it was, this would be a totally different story. And I think one of the things that annoyed me the most, well, there's so many things that annoyed me the most about the last couple of weeks, but it was like, you all are exploiting these two young people's chemistry and like not giving them the writing that they actually deserve, and just expecting them to kind of make it work and also carry the rest of the teen scene with them, that also just don't have the same chemistry in place, don't have the same kind of support from the audience. Like, it's just, it has felt clunky, but at least, and also they are so good that they really did wash out a lot of the bad taste from last week, which is both like amazing for them. It also feels like a little like, I feel conflicted about,
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous. I'm like, oh, you did the thing that you all always do, which is make something really magical out of something medium to mediocre.
Yeah. I loved what you said about the choices they made. I was like thinking about, I had like made some notes about like different choices that are so, I mean, because we also know that Sprina fans, I like asked like how many times have we watched this video? I watched it twice this morning. Like, let's just be clear, I've watched this arc this week, or this past week arc so much, and like thought about all of the different choices, like thinking about how the first time every handhold or hand take from Spencer to Trina, like the evolution of it. So like the first one after like everything came out was like when he renounced his title and he kind of like hesitantly like took her one hand, right? And then like the next one that we saw was like them at Kelly's, where he was like a little bit more confident when he took her hand. And this time he knew, I'm taking both of these hands and I'm gonna pull her forward, right? And that is like acting choices. I don't think that's written in the script direction, or if it is, it's not in the ways that they've been able to do it. And it hasn't been like tracked in that same way. They are able, just like you said about Trina and like Sydney's performance, when we know what happens when Sydney or Trina is like mad at him, like her voice goes up that octave. So like, you remember when she was like really mad when he came to the studio and she was gonna talk to Ava and she's like, no, you don't. Like, that's when you were mad. And when he came in, she was like, I deleted your text. Like, she couldn't even find it in her to be mad. And girl, I know. When a cute boy who you really like comes in, you can't, like, you be trying to be mad, you can't be mad. And like, those are like performance choices that the actors make.
Yeah.
She was gonna go to Kelly's if he hadn't come. Like, she was gonna go. She was just gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go. And then he shows up, he's, I deleted your text. I don't know you, like, I was busy working, but she was clearly like, let me pack my stuff up because they're all kind of acting like he's going to San Quentin for 5 to 10. And I'm like, you're going to that like Eat My Shorts camp from Nickelodeon in the 90s. I don't understand. Like,
which camp can be a very traumatic experience, Tara.
Free Spencer.
If one kid needs serial killer, is there too?
There you go.
See?
But nobody's talking about that. I'm just like, you're locking up my child with Ryan Chamberlain, but okay.
I've said this a couple of times that it really bugs me that, because I've also noticed it with Sona and Vanna, that they put a lot of like Sona scenes on Vanna days. Because like they put Chaos and Sprina together because they want to use Sprina's like popularity to make us care about chaos, and I won't. Like, I care about Jocelyn. Like, I know people like have their whatever, which I don't know what this girl has done. I think that like her character is written to be very aloof to Trina's sort of feelings. I think in the last few months, like from summer to right now, they've really kind of flipped Jocelyn's character where she's like walking out of her mom's wedding to go read Spencer. And then they flipped her right back in that cabin scene, to where like her stuff comes first. And like even throughout these past few months, you have like moments where like she can't make it to Trina's photo gallery exhibit. It's a big thing that like Soap Twitter was super excited for, because she got volleyball practice, girl. It's not even a game. It's just practice.
Okay,
like,
Allen Iverson.
Like, but they write her that way. And I understand like, oh, well, we can't have everybody on the same day. And like maybe Eden was not available. But then like you don't shoot the photo gallery stuff unless everyone's available, because then it just makes Jocelyn seem like a terrible friend, that you have all these moments that like Trina should literally drop everything, including her own feelings about a boy she used to like, to make Jocelyn happy. But like she can't miss volleyball practice, and like that is just a writing error that they continuously throw in. And then like on Soap Twitter, people are like, well, Eden probably couldn't have been there. That's not my problem. I don't write for this show, so don't use logic when you're trying to explain the illogical nature of this show.
Right. Because I also wonder, like, do they think that we forget stuff like that, like in that, because the writing is like clunky sometimes, or it feels like almost lazy. I never know what is like supposed to be something I'm tracking for a story, or if it's supposed to be something that like just happened. So I know coming out of like I was furious the last time we recorded, because my thought process was that they didn't check on Trina overnight, and that scene with them in the cabin that we saw in the preview was the next morning. Because I was like, they've like Cam and Xander Smith's kid and Joss were clothed, and why would they be clothed? And like Trina was so fucking drugged, like she clearly wouldn't have been up an hour or 2 hours or whatever the time frame was. So it was like,
Except she was.
And so, because like my thought was like, I can't believe these horrible friends like let her like be like by herself overnight and not check on her. Like there's still some annoyance with how they behaved, but for me it changes how mad I was about it, knowing that it was like an hour later and that they checked on her and she was stirring, because I was like, they could have fucking killed her, you know what I mean? Like that was like how I came out of the week. And then we entered and it was like, oh no, it was just like a couple minutes later.
Which doesn't even, but now it goes into like, it doesn't make sense, because now drugs don't work. Now drugs don't mean anything.
Like drugs that you made sure we knew what they were.
If it had been booze that caused her to pass out, she wouldn't be acting the way that she wouldn't be completely sober. You know, maybe not hour, maybe it was a couple hours later, however long it was. If it was enough to make her pass out, I will say I was just the same amount of angry. Even after this week, but I'm stubborn that way. I think also for me with the chaos stuff, it was like I was gonna be mad no matter what, because of the choice that they made to have sex that night. I just think it was such a strange strange choice to make. It didn't make any sense. It also felt so out of character for Jocelyn. Like this is literally how the conversations with chaos are when they're alone. Jocelyn, Trina, Spencer, Avery, or not Avery, Esme, Spencer, Trina. And then Cam's like, I just want to talk to you. I just care about you. Let's not talk about anyone else. And then Joss, once again, Trina. You know, like she is so fixated on like her friendship with Trina, on taking down Esme, that it just felt strange to me that she would go from that situation to being like, you know what? I really want to have sex with Cam. it's again one of those things with like you were saying before, Tracey, about like, I don't know if this is written into the script or not, but it feels natural with Sprina. And I think with like Chaos, and it's not just them, I'm not picking on them, it's also like Cholin and other characters, yeah, that's right, where like you can see that they're acting out stage directions. Now you're supposed to kiss, now you're supposed to, you know, almost kiss, you're gonna like hover with your mouths open next to each other. So like there's just something about using this couple and their like powerhouse chemistry and their popularity to fuel this relationship that is also undermining the core relationships that we really matter, like the friendships that we really cared about. So it was hard with Monday's scene. I didn't really rewatch it. I think I maybe rewatched it once with Cam, Joss, and Trina. I basically just kept rewatching Trina, you know, denying the text message. That's like the
and then her hands afterwards, like, what am I supposed to do with this text?
This motherfucker, what am I supposed to do with this? But that scene just felt so jarring and weird and almost like gaslighty. Like we were just supposed to forget that everything that happened went down the way that it did. And that the Trina apologizing, like all of that just really rubbed me the wrong way. But the other piece that felt really disjointed is just like, it felt like the three of them, their dynamic hasn't evolved. And it felt like Disney Channel. And then the scenes on Thursday felt like a young adult soap opera. Appropriate.
Yeah, I had written down that when you take Spencer and Esme out of the mix of the teen scene, it goes from being like, these are young adults, to like, this is Nickelodeon. And, you know, like they just did like the clinks of cider with sugar. Like, we're best friends forever. What in the Saved by the Bell is this? Like, it was just not. And then like afterwards, it was like really weird because they like both Trina and Joss had like really weird looks on their faces. That made it seem like it wasn't okay with them. I think that part of the problem is that all of this, the way this storyline is between the three of them, is actually 2 years too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is actually not a young adult, fresh out of high school into college, we live in the dorms kind of storyline. This is what should have happened with Oscar when he was there, like that age group. And Spencer and Esme bring about like, no, this is what young adults do. And then they blame it on boarding school. No, it's not boarding school. It's that they're young adults.
I rewrote this entire scene in my head, and it's so Trina just one Dollar Tree Nell. That's what I call her. And by the way, just for people who do not know, until you are on this show for at least a year, I will not waste my time getting to know your full name, because you could disappear tomorrow. No, absolutely not. So Dollar Tree Nell gets the drug. It's one of those like fast acting drugs that disappears from your system immediately. And like Trina's drinking. She's like, this is great. Like, this is amazing. So she is actively drinking more than people because she's uncomfortable being in this couple situation, as most people would be. Right. So when she passes out, like everyone's like, well, she's just uncomfortable about being in the situation. Jocelyn and Camp go have their moment, fine. And then they find Trina and they realize something's wrong, and they take her to General Hospital, but no one can find anything wrong with her, essentially, besides her drinking. And so now people like Portia's like, I'm disappointed. And like Trina's trying to say like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, Dollar Tree Nell's getting away with everything. She left, so she couldn't have done anything. And then when all this stuff comes out, because I'm so worried that Jocelyn's going to think Trina filmed her, I cannot understand why she would ever think that. But in this moment, if we had played that up where Trina's constantly is the third wheel, it would have been a rough few months because we would have been on Twitter like, how are you going to do this to the Black girl? Like, how are you going to actually make? But if you actually put it into the story, so this could be a reason, and then Spencer becomes the one person who believes her.
Right.
Because everyone else had, and not that Jocelyn and Esme become best friends, but you know, she has absolutely no reason to assume anything because they've done the tests and it's just showing alcohol. But something that would make this dramatic but because they are so convinced that Jocelyn and Trina need to stay best friends forever, that we will absolutely, yes, people are going to hate Jocelyn if her and Trina get into a fight. There's going to be a good contingency of soap Twitter that's like, she's just like her mother.
But anyway,
what's the problem with that? You need characters like that. My dream scenario was Trina and Jocelyn stop being friends a year and a half ago. Trina and Cameron get together. Spencer comes back and is like, Jocelyn, I want Trina, you want Cameron, let's do this. Freaking, we're revamping GH in the 90s, where we're just trying to steal people who are already together because we want them. You know, but they don't want Jocelyn to be this terrible character. They want her to be the heroine they think Carly is. And that's the problem.
I mean, it's also like what they did when they were like kids with like Emma and Spencer and Kim.
Jocelyn was down for shenanigans.
I actually really like the Josh Trina friendship, and I would like for them to have some drama outside of that. I think that part of the reason that chaos is not interesting is because it's just not interesting. Like it's really just that simple. It's not interesting at 18 or 19 to like get with the person that you've known your whole life. Like that's cute if you're watching This Is Us or whatever you're watching, but it's not cute when you're watching a soap, right? Like you actually need some like drama. You know, so like where is like the little bit older dude coming in and like seducing Jocelyn? Not too old, I don't want that, but like where's like the 22-year-old who's like coming in and like knows she's an heiress, and you know, then he falls for her. Like that's interesting for Jocelyn. Cam is not interesting for Jocelyn, and like the very like small parts that could be interesting, they don't even play up. So they don't play up the class difference, right? Like they don't play up their moms have always had beef. They tried to play up the Jason thing, but it was so dumb that like I didn't even understand it to be that. So I actually really like the Trina and Josh friendship. I think the reason that there needs to be any kind of like chasm between it is because there's no other teams, but not because we actually need them to be beefing. They need to like beef up the team scene.
I want Jocelyn, like my perfect example for what would be great for Jocelyn is Lulu and Johnny Zakara. That was so great because he came out of nowhere and he was just like, and like please don't come for me, Lante stands. They tried to recreate that with Dante. It was not the same. Like Dante and Lulu are great, but like Lulu and Johnny Zakara, because like he came out of freaking nowhere and then he was like, I'm from a rival mob family. And you were like, Sonny don't like you. He don't even know you. Yeah, I thought that was great. I would love it if something like that happened for Jocelyn, and like her mom could have issues. Sonny, Jax dies in a freak accident over the Indian Ocean trying to fly to Port Charles. It's horrible. We find his body and everything, so we know. But
decapitated.
Like, rest in pieces.
But I just really want them to have some movement. They need to block film with the teens better.
Yeah.
Film a month and a half of the teens and pepper them through, because like we have seen every reaction and beat of the Carson Sona story, and we have to sort of like guess everyone else's story. I think you said it in your recap. We're being told that Sante have insecurities because Drew's back. When did we see it?
Yeah. Right. Why am I supposed to invest in this? And it just doesn't serve, it doesn't like do justice to like the work that people are bringing in. I don't care about most of these couples, and the ones that we do care about, it's because their chemistry is so fire. And like, of course we want every couple to have chemistry, but everybody's not going to be Sprina and everybody's not going to be Vanna. It's just not, there's a reason that their shit is like one of a kind, right? Like everybody's not going to be that. So you actually need to be able, soaps already need to have like some sort of chemistry so that we can invest. And now it's like you're asking people to have lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
So Sandra said something about this with Chillin, which is that, you know, like with their starting, stop, and not, excuse me, and not seeing them, it was really difficult for me to like invest in them at all, because it felt like those two actors were not playing the beat of a romance. It did not feel rom-com-y to me, which is like, I think what their sweet spot would have been. Like that is what those two probably would have been cute as if I thought they were cute, but they weren't doing like, I love y'all, but they weren't doing that. They weren't doing that. And so it felt like there was like a light bulb. And so now I can see it. Now I'm like, oh, okay, I get this kind of, because there must have been like some kind of stage direction was like, you like her now. Because there was like a difference in Josh Swicker's like performance when it was like clear that like clearer that they were moving them. But even, I mean, the Sprina almost kiss, we were like trying to put them up against each other. I wasn't even trying to be funny. I was like, this is not, I was the Euphoria meme. Bitch, you better be joking. This is not the same.
It's not kind to Chillin to invite the comparison. It's not kind.
And it's offensive to Sprina.
Absolutely.
So when Sprina's almost kiss, it was like, oh yeah, we would have kissed had we not been interrupted.
Yes.
Right? Like they were there. It was like if Esme or if that actress, if Avery didn't come in at just the right minute, like that would have happened, and they'd have had to be like, oh, hold on, it was supposed to be an almost kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like they were close. They were in there. With Chillin, it was like, what's happening here? Why don't y'all just kiss?
Not only did they steal
right
from Sprina, they stole from Vanna having Dante interrupt them with a phone call.
Yes.
The most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. Create your own moments. Create your own moments. Like, what else are you gonna do? You're gonna have sex in a limo after you give Bailey back to Maxie, like Carson? What else are we stealing? Give Chaylin moments.
When I told them that they needed to study some Sprina and maybe some Vanna, this is not what I meant.
You told them that they would hurt themselves if they studied Vanna. Let's remember that.
Yeah, that's too advanced for them.
How did they get that baby? In what way did they get?
I don't think Peter did. I think that like when Victor was like, tell me the package has been secured, he was talking about Wheezy.
But did he scale up a drain pipe? I mean, like they were in the living room.
I'm mad that I didn't get to see Victor walking out with Wheezy and the baby Bjorn. That was my one request, and it was not.
Who were best?
Back to the kids.
Yes.
The important things in life. Our children. I think so much too about like the how Disney, the three original kids, or like the three of this like original actors, it's like they don't challenge each other, right? Like they've been working together for so long, and they also like started out as kids, and when you're a child actor, like your process is just very different than adult actors. And what I see, and I think this also like can address the issues around scheduling, which are real, and everyone has constraints. Every show has constraints that you're working within. So you have to make it work, and you have to make it satisfying to the audience. And what I like when they do is split them up and have them with Spencer and Esme in different ways, because those two can act. And I'm not saying the other ones can't, but these are like, they're a few years older, and there's just like a maturity and a professionalism that they bring. Like the Esme and Spencer car scene was actually my favorite non-Sprina related scene. I watched it many times. I thought they both were so good. And as much as I hate Esme, I mean, Avery Pohl just doesn't miss a beat. And she is also part of like what makes not Sprina magical, but what makes them exciting.
Yeah.
And like, I really love like getting to see Spencer like put those pieces together, right? He's been noticing for a while that stuff about Esme, like you've seen him be annoyed, you see him be exhausted, but you've also seen him be like suspicious. And I've always been like, what are you thinking? But you're not going to tell anyone, but what are you thinking about her? And what happened at the cabin was like that breaking point, and you can see him like, oh shit, I'm putting the pieces together for real. Like, I loved when he was like, you're going to break up with me? Have we not all felt that in some moment? Like, this crazy bitch is gonna break up with me? But it's like really when she starts talking about how lonely she's gonna be and how much worse him going to prison is for her, that you see that like kind of light switch go off, and he starts using her tactics against her. And you know, like we've seen him like keep the peace with her before and like appease her, but it was like the first time you really see him like, I'm gonna manipulate you right back. And like it was just the insincerity for me. The insincerity that was played so well. And that's like the kind of subtlety that you just don't see when it's like the three original kids together. But you do see that when they're broken up and like in scenes with the other two.
Yeah. While we were talking, I was thinking, I feel like they don't understand their motivation when they're not in the scene with Spencer and Esme. I think Spencer, like Avery and Nicholas, understand their characters and what their characters want very well, because they don't change. Spencer wants his dad to leave Ava. He wants Trina. He wants to have his castle and his money back. Like, he's afraid to go to prison. Like, and he's he understands when each of those emotions need to come out. Esme seems to, like, Avery seems to understand when she knows things that we don't know, but she seems to very much understand what her mission is and like the energy she needs to have. Trina understands her energy. I actually think that Sydney does a good job all around, because she always has this sort of uncomfortable energy. Like, she's clearly uncomfortable around Spencer for one reason, Dollar Tree Nell for another, and then Joss and Cam for a completely different reason. So she's just uncomfortable and figuring out her life in the world. I don't think that Cameron and Joss have a clear understanding of what their motivations are anymore. I think when you give Eden a scene and you're like, you're mad about Trina, she kills it. You know? Yeah, and you could tell she works a lot with Laura about this, Laura Wright, because she channels that Carly energy, like, I'm about to read you. I don't know if Will has been given any type of sort of like, here's where you are. Like, no one sat down and said, like, you are the oldest son of a single mother who is now a widow. Your brothers are going through it. You're working, you're going to school, you're taking care of your family. Your girlfriend seems to be completely aloof to any of your actual problems, right? Like, she's just like, my mom and my stepdad are upset. You know, like, that's her problem. That's the biggest issue in her life. Like, he's never given any of that. So he comes across like, and I feel like, I don't expect William Lipton, with everything he has to do, to sit back and watch Elizabeth's entire backstory or Cameron's from the other actor. But every time he says, like, well, I wanted to give Dollar Tree now the benefit of the doubt for Spencer. I'm like, why? He tried to kill you several times as a child. Spencer understands that with Valentin. Like, I don't fuck with him because he tried to kill me as a child. Well, Spencer tried to kill you several times as a child. Why do you care about his girlfriend and making her feel comfortable? Like, I want them to sit William down and be like, here's your character's history with every single person that you're ever in a scene with, so he knows the correct energy to have. Because he's so adorable, but it's not the right energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot from what y'all said, but part of it is part of the one part of the reason I want them to kind of hurry along and let us know what's going on with Sprina and like everything around them is because we honestly only have Nicholas Chavez and Cindy Michaela for a limited amount of time. Like, these are not actors who are going to stay on soaps. And they might be people who are like, soaps are where I got my start. That's actually not really true for Sydney. She's been on a bunch of stuff, but like, soaps where I got my start. Like, if they need me to be recurring or come back for like arcs, I'll do that. But Spencer, like, Nicholas has like a 3-year contract. You know, we're almost halfway through it. I don't know if he'll re-up for another like 3 years when there's so many options for acting. There's streaming, there's all of these other things. And so like there is no reason for him to stay in a lot of ways. Aside from like, we want him to stay. And so people who know like the booms and busts of like soap couples know that like, okay, we have to get them together, and then there's going to be an obstacle, and then there's going to be a breakup, and then there's going to be a reunitedness, and that is like my hope, that they reunite and go off screen together, and wherever distant future that is, right? Like, I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm hoping that they stay forever, but like, just realistically, like, this is the things that we know. And so that, I think, is like part of the reason that we're like, I was happy when Esme came. Like, I was sad for Trina, sad for other things, but I was like, oh yeah, they're investing in this couple. They are making sure that we see like the obstacles that they have up front, and it's not going to just be like a really quick, they're together, we're going to break them up. They actually have to like build up to each other. And I don't know if everybody else takes the craft that seriously. Like, no shade to anybody's acting, but like, William's a artist. Like, he's like a singer, right? Like, that feels to me like where his heart is, which is why he loved it when he was able to play for the Savoy or play at the nurses' ball. I think Eden like is very comfortable in the soap genre. She just said she re-upped her contract. And so I think that the energy that is bought by like an Avery and a Nicholas is a little bit different, because this is like a launch pad for them. In a different way than it is a launch pad for the others. And to Sandra's point, they're a little bit older. And so when they come in, they talk about having like breaking down the script. They talk about having a process with they have like the same acting coach, and it shows and it comes through in the performances. And to your point, that I mean, these two are contract players and they probably have more availability. There's no reason that we shouldn't be breaking the kids up more to see them together with those two, because they have the availability to do it.
Yeah. Something that I really loved what you said earlier about Tara, about the relationship with Ava. I hadn't really thought about that, about how Ava identifies with Spencer, but I just have known that I've been drawn to that relationship. Like, of course, like Maura and Nicholas working together is like fantastic. And so that's always a reason to root for them being in scenes together. But I just really love that point that you made about her identifying with him. And I love her rooting for him, even as she's rooting against him in so many ways. And it is her kind of like clumsy, twisted way of parenting, and is still like more parenting than he's actually receiving from his father, the glorified extra that used to be known as Nicholas Castine. But I love that. My favorite line from the Ava scene was, Spencer sure seems desperate to get a hold of you. Emphasis on the desperate. And I felt vindicated, because I remember when that first scene where with the three of them at Windermere, and Ava had the shipper face, and people were talking shit. They were like, because I was like, Ava's a shipper, and people were like, no, she hates him. She's getting him arrested, all this. And I was like, you don't understand Ava. Ava getting him arrested has nothing to do with her shipping taste. What does that have to do with that? And if Ava can be friends with Nina, she can certainly ship Sprina.
I mean, what was Ava supposed to just let somebody set her car on fire? And she's like, oh, well, I testified for, for Valentin or some bullshit. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, I called the police on you, sir. Welcome. I'm doing the right thing, Ava. It used to be shooting apples, Ava.
But I do think that was her trying to parent.
It was. It's not what I would do, but I think I'm not step parent to Cassadine Prince. So what do I know?
I think Ava thought he would cave. I don't think she thought he would like dig in as hard as he did and be like, well, I'm gonna go to jail. Like I thought she probably thought he would be like, oh well, I don't need this smoke. And in his defense, he thought he had way more backup than he did, because like he kind of realized like, oh crap, Avery is Sonny's daughter. That's my bad. Like, and lost his uncle's support. And of course, Sonny's off here being terrible. Sonny.
Ugh. Let me put on my Spencer apologist face.
You?
He did not do anything that was that bad. Aside from the car fire. I mean, but he didn't do that. This whole teddy bear thing, Avery was not scared because she did not know what that was. That was to scare y'all adults, and it worked. I just need them, like, Sonny, of all the bullshit that you've done, this being unforgivable, come on. Okay. You didn't show up to his party. You don't even speak to him when you see him in public. This is no Sonny.
He went to the Nib wedding instead of his nephew's party. In my Sonny defense, it was the last time before we went to the bear was essentially a threat that like Ryan will kill Avery.
Sure. But Avery wasn't scared.
I mean, she probably wouldn't have been scared when she was offed by Ryan, because he would have done it very quickly. But like, it still would have been bad. Like, I don't know. That's where my mobster, like, I'm like a associate of the Corinthos crime family. I'm like, nah, you went too far, sir. You can't do that. Like, put Kiki's badge under the car. I don't care. Like, we don't know her. But Avery. But I mean, I don't even think that child should exist. I was so mad when Ava got pregnant. I was like,
you don't like that grief sex in the Quartermain crypt?
It was right before the Carson reunion. And so I was like, well, Carson's getting closer, and then, he's got to get rid of Olivia. And then all of a sudden, I mean, that did it. So I guess, yay, banging Ava definitely got rid of Olivia.
I loved the grief hate sex. No addendum. I hated the baby that came from it, but I loved the hate sex. So I just want to make my position clear.
You are the one who was asking for more affairs. All right, let me see if I have any more Sprina takes. I definitely do. I was like thinking about the difference between the near kiss from the Windermere party on the turret versus this near kiss, and just like how the first one was like, it was just like a little flirty. It was like all attraction, but this was like feelings, like, which is what made it more special. Because I mean, like the first one, like for sure had chemistry. That gif has been going around forever. People are like, yes, like this is a couple that I want to see. But the second one, like the heat and the intensity was like, oh no, I know every single thing about you. I know about the stalker shit. I know about the girlfriend shit. I know about the renouncing your father shit. I know that the Cassadines are crazy shit. And I'm still about it. I'm still with it. And we get so much of how Spencer feels about Trina. Like we all know like how he feels about her, and we get so little of how Trina feels about him. Yeah. And so like the confirmation that happened in the kiss was like the fact that he felt like, oh no, I know, was like I was surprised by. Like he grabbed her hands, he walked forward, he was like, no. You're not gonna push me away. You're mad right now. There's so much I have to say to you, but we're not talking right now. Like, we don't have to. I'm about to go do my bid, bae. We don't have time to talk.
You don't have
We
time.
have to. We don't have time. We have to get this in. I just everything from the way Spencer walked into the room to like just all of it. No notes. Perfection.
Yeah. I really loved how much there was a lot of emotional intimacy in the scene. Like, you know, Trina is like reading him in this very inspirational way, right? She's just like, well, we just, you know, we wouldn't be so mad at you if we didn't think your dumbass could actually accomplish something. And he was like, oh, that's just the most you thing that you've ever said to me. Like that moment, I was like, you know that this is a very Trina thing to do. And this is what you came here for. And like that not everyone can be Trina Robinson. There can only be one Spencer Cassadine. It was like also such a contrast to the scene earlier in the week with Esme and Spencer, where and the way that he explains the relationship with Esme, where like his importance was hinged on her approval. And she would manipulate him by withholding it, and if that didn't work, she would actually like bring up Trina's disapproval of him. Well,
Right.
Trina would be really disappointed with you. Well, Trina will never be able to forgive you. And so versus what we see in this scene, which is like, Trina's like, bitch, you're just special. You don't need me to validate that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And I loved when Trina said, lucky me. Like that was like, it felt like the permission for Spencer to like go ahead and do it. Because you could like, there was just so much subtlety behind that. And I was like, that's my girl. That's my messy girl. You give him the signals to be messy.
Yeah, yes, all of that. And one of the things I was like tracking is, and you talked about this earlier, Sandra, like he just looked devastated before he saw her. Yes. And so he was like very slouchy. And then he saw her and he like stood up straight. Like, so he kind of came into the gallery, still really slouchy. He was like, yeah, Ava, I know, but like, it was like, even the hesitancy he had with Ava, so that, because he was like, let me not get into it with Ava right now. Because getting into it with Ava right now will take away the time I have with Trina. So I'm gonna calm down, I'm gonna behave myself. I'm gonna be slouched over. And then as soon as he gets with Trina, he's like standing up straight. And he's like and then like when he like resolves himself when his family's around, when everybody comes. I love that all the adults were like, let's get to this gallery. Yes, like that's what it is. And then you could even like, he was like resigned when she was like, not if I see you first. And he was like, I can do this. Like it was almost like, yes, I can do this. And then he kind of slouched a little bit on his way out because he was like leaving her. But all of that, it was like the more confident he got in like her feelings for him, the more confident he got in himself. Like, okay, I can go do this bid. I can go up, they're sending me up the river. I can do it.
Do it.
For me, it was how many times he said goodbye to her. Like, because he said the original goodbye, because I did my Golden Girls thing, like this is Spencer right now. He's Dorothy saying goodbye in the last episode. But like he did his original goodbye, and then she came in and then said whatever she had to say. And then he went back to Trina, like, girl, I just wanted to let you know I'm here to say goodbye to you. And then the adults came in and she like kissed him, and everybody was like, you know, because like, girl, what are you doing? And then he was like, cool, thanks, girl. But also Trina, just want you to know. And that's when she did the I'll see you first thing, which I was like, and then also I don't want to take credit for it because it was someone else on Twitter, but I cannot remember. This is the worst how it started, how it's going for anyone, Dollar Trinell. Just like first time she shows up, they're about to make out on the turret, and then the set now they're about to make out in the gallery. Like, girl, you are flailing right now. What are you doing? Stop worrying about Cameron and Jocelyn and worry about your man.
But also, like, is she? I don't. She doesn't care about Spencer. She cares about her hold on him, and because Avery's so good at portraying it, I think that part gets lost sometimes for people. That like she doesn't actually really have feelings like that for Spencer, which is why, you know, I'm excited to see if her and Xander Smith's kid gets together, because like it's not like a she's leaving somebody she cares about to get with him. She wants to control him. So even when she was like kind of crying, like, I'm gonna be by myself, that was all manipulation. Like, you're gonna be by yourself because you don't want to be with his friends. So I'm interested to see how, like, what she gets up to while he's in Spring Ridge, and if we get to see it, because it's been a long time for us to not know, like, for her to have so many secrets from the audience.
Yeah.
I want Kathleen Lord to kick her out. Why does she still live there?
Need it. Well, I'm like, Victor, put her up in the Metro Court. Like, I don't even care at this point. Like, I want her to be miserable, but I'm also like, get her out of Laura's house.
She's like, Spence, I don't even want to go home with you. I'm like, girl, where you about to go? You ain't got nowhere else to go.
You're a homeless person, so.
I think the only reason that they would let her stay is just to keep an eye on her. Because Kevin's like, I'm watching you, bitch. Shout out to Kevin and Spencer's like new relationship. I loved what you said about it earlier, Tara. Like, Spencer used to be so bratty to Kevin when he first came back and was always like throwing the Ryan Chamberlain stuff in his face. And we got to hear about how their relationship changed, but I love that Nicholas and John Lindstrom made you feel the change in the relationship, even though we didn't see it. And so as much as I would have loved to see Kevin teach Spencer how to load a dishwasher, I felt that those kind of things have happened. And I love that it was Kevin that inspired him to act on his instincts. It's like, it's so important to see Spencer building relationships with other adults that aren't Nicholas. For me personally, because I'm so upset about their relationship, but I also don't want to see them reconcile because of Marcus.
No.
Yeah.
And also Kevin, like if we're going by Soraz and like how Spencer has been rapidly aged, Kevin has been his guardian since he was around 10 years old. So he's been a formative person in Spencer's life. This is not just your grandmother's husband. Like they've been married for like a decade if we're going by like just how you age up children.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like such a testament to the actors to like be able to bring the weight of history that we haven't seen to screen. And that is not what a lot of people can do. And it's actually, when you talk about Nicholas being a glorified extra now, it's because like, what can he do? Everyone else around him is such a powerhouse and Marcus is just not. And so even at the times when he's tried, it's kind of laughable. So he just like shows up and he's like flailing, like, well, I don't know, Spencer, Ava. Everybody's like, shut the fuck up. Like, even Laura is like, we're not talking about that right now.
They stopped
bringing up all shit.
They stopped putting him in scenes with Mo.
Yeah.
Because Maurice just like barks at him. He just like, his whole energy takes over that scene. Nicholas is like, what? And like, I remember Tyler Christopher, Maurice Bernard scenes, and they were like, their energies were matching and like, it was epic. But like, I think it was like when he first came back, and then when he went to Nicholas's castle to beat him up, and then he came over to Sonny's house, like every single time, like Sonny Corinthos, mob boss, is able to just pull the wool, just like stand on his soapbox over Nicholas Cassadine. I'm like, how are you allowing him to do this? Like how? And it's obviously because he can't match Maurice Bernard's energy. Like
and like Nicholas as a teenager was able to hold his own more than this allegedly grown ass Nicholas.
Marcus Coloma allegedly. He better thank the heavens that Anthony Geary is not on this show. I'm happy he's not on this show, but he would not have survived a scene with Luke Spencer. Like Luke would have just thrown him in the harbor.
Oh my god, that would have been humiliating.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, Marcus, I would say just go sing, but I don't want you to do that either.
No.
That's why they haven't had a nurse's ball. They're like,
we know Marcus wants to sing, so
and they don't want to have to tell
the whole thing.
We're canceling it.
No. Ooh. I also loved how like when they were at the gallery and Nicholas showed up, well, you know, he was like, you haven't said goodbye to everyone that's important. And Spencer was basically like, I have. Like, I have said it. But
okay,
the
father.
way, yeah, I guess we can like, whatever when I get back. And
but Trina.
And he also made that noise before he turned to Trina. And I was like, thank you for speaking for the audience.
Who is he talking about? The guy who pilots the launch to Windermere? He didn't say goodbye to him? Like, did he miss some chefs inside the castle? Like, who are we talking about, Nicholas? Like, it was definitely not you and Ava.
No.
They're like, Sonny, not disrespecting. Like, this, he is an adult. This is what I'll say about Spencer. Like, if you want to cut him off, you want to like not give him his stuff because that's you control it, fine. But like the idea that you're making it dependent on him like accepting and loving your freaking wife, like, are you insane? Like, he's an adult. He does it as long as he's not setting her car on fire and actively threatening her, then he cannot like her. He could dislike her if he wants. Like, I don't even understand what their gripe is. Like, half of the town hates Ava. It's kind of the fashionable thing to do in Port Charles. And so who cares?
Yeah, and it's also like he is doing like his penance for what happened, right? And so it is like there's a different question between can you not do this again? Can you leave my marriage alone? Versus like, can you like her? Because the other part is Spencer thought he was saving Nicholas from Ava. And now that he knows who Nicholas is, he's really clear that he's not. And so the interest in doing anything to Ava is not there. It's just I don't fuck with her.
And the biggest motivator for him to not do anything else to Ava is Trina. It's good, which is far more motivating to him than this is actually another case where positive reinforcement is the way to go. You know, it's like, oh, you leave Ava alone. Trina's gonna like that.
I wish I was Spencer's attorney because I would have been like, Your Honor. Like, I'm gonna be Carly's divorce attorney, but I would like, Your Honor. All of these shenanigans started when the defendant's father planned a massive takeover for his current wife because they were going to trick her into giving up the money. And then all of a sudden, he was digmatized and now he's in love with this hoe and his son can go rot. That's what happened. Like, this is a plan that was started by Nicholas Cassadine, not Spencer. And then all of a sudden Nicholas is like, let me call Spencer really quick and tell her we're in love. Like, are you serious?
Case closed.
Dismissed.
Have Nicholas do 30 days.
That's what I really wanted.
He would, but like the other thing is like nothing that Spencer did to Ava is worse than what Nicholas did to Ava when he first came back.
No.
Nothing.
Your daughter's in hell.
I'm in hell with
Daughter's in hell.
too.
Done.
I was like, damn. Your daughter's in hell? Like,
daughter's in hell? We're supposed to ship this?
Your daughter's in hell playing backgammon with Hitler. Just so you know.
And the thing about Marcus is like, he actually, I said this and Sandra thought I was like not being shady, but is that I wasn't this time, is that he just can't act out like anything he's not really feeling.
So he can't act.
Like, so when he had like scenes where he had to like be attracted to Ava, I'm sure he's actually attracted to more West. So boom. Or we had scenes when he was like playing chess and kind of like being jovial with Spencer. I believe that he likes Nicholas Chavez that much. I want him to stay away from Nicholas because that Scientology shit is weird. But I believe that those things are true. But when you have to act, he has to act outside of those ranges and those beats. It's like when it's not good.
So when he has to be an actor, which is playing another character that isn't you, feeling feelings that you're not currently feeling. So you're saying that when Marcus has to act, he can't act, so he can't do his job.
Yes.
Just need to bring that Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3 energy every once in a while.
2 and 3, thank you, but not 1.
When Mo was talking to him on State of Mind, he kept calling it Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I was like, I gotta get out of here. I can't watch the rest of this. Somebody give me a transcript. I can't watch this. No, and nobody broke it down for me like they broke down Chad Duels. I'm gonna watch Tyler Christopher though.
You better believe I will.
I was about to say nobody was interested in his. That's my thing, is that I was like, what does he have to say? Like, what can he say about the show? Because that's usually what I watch for. I'm like, if I know someone's been on this show for like 10 plus years, I'm like, I want the tea, especially after Kimberly McCullough's, where she was just like, I'm going to spill tea everywhere. Like, spilled it in the parking lot on her way, walking up to the door, just like spilled it everywhere. Which is pretty much like Tristan Rogers was high all the time. He didn't know. Finola Hughes been saying it for years, but okay. But I cannot imagine anything that he would have said that would have been interesting besides trying to get Mo to be a Scientologist and failing.
And being in Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 and 3.
Beverly Hills
2 and 3. All right, let's move to some other free-for-all hot takes. If you have more Sprina things come up, always say them. We want to hear all the Sprina. Let's get into it. So part of one of the other things I wanted to do throughout was to come up with some rules for engagement for Soap Twitter that we will publish during the coming weeks because we know it's about to be rough. Number 1, stay out of my mentions.
Stay out of people's mentions. Just out of the mentions. Like, just tweet it on your page.
Keep your bad opinions to yourself.
I always say, don't you have your own account? Why are you on mine?
Telling me that my tweet is wrong. Somehow I'm wrong to like this person.
It's not working.
It's what Succession gifts are for.
Fuck off.
Fuck off. Move on.
I would say don't make everything personal. Like, I feel like people make things so personal. Like, they equate me not liking their fave to like kicking their dog. And it's like, I did not hurt anyone you know and love. Like, I should be able to say something about Lucky without having like a million people like, he was garbage. Like,
I love Lucky. Deadbeat dad and all. And I watched him tell off Elizabeth this morning because it's one of my favorite soap scenes in soap fucking history. At me. Drunk, sober, drunk.
They didn't even wait for the Emmys. They just mailed it to him. They just mailed it to him the day after the episode. They were like, here you go, sir.
And Tyler Christopher, with that one tear, was more emoting than Marcus has done the entire time he's been on the show.
My favorite scene is when Carly shows up.
Yes!
It's
hey, cuz!
Yeah, come here, cuz. And then just proceeds to let her know everything. Like, make sure you tell the entire town.
They'll be there if they're not running like farm animals.
Yeah, he said they can't make it. He was like, I'll be there. Elizabeth and Nicholas can't make it because they'll be too busy running like farm animals.
And Carly was like,
this is messy,
but even my messy ass, I gotta go.
I'm just gonna go.
But that was like the one place where you could kind of see in Carly's eyes. She was like, I see. Lucky and I are related. I see it now. I didn't feel it before.
For real, she like ran to Jason. She was like, Jason, come get your son. Elizabeth and Lucky are breaking up.
She's such a fucking mess. And that's why I love her crazy messy ass. Yeah, but that scene, it's only a little bit better than when Lulu goes off on her at the hospital.
How you go to someone's job? I was like, damn, not her job.
But hold on, Lulu, who I would never defend because I don't fuck with Lulu, but let me defend Lulu here. Another hot take. I don't fuck with Lulu. She didn't go to her job looking for her. She went to her job looking for her phone, and Elizabeth showed up.
At her job,
she worked there? She wasn't on the schedule. And it was on site. And sometimes that's what the fuck on site means. And Julie Berman did voice exercises before she went in. She was like, "You slut." Like, God damn.
This was the peak Elizabeth because Becky plays those scenes so well.
Yes,
like as much as like I understand her stans wanting her to succeed and win and all that, but I feel like a lot of the reasons they give Elizabeth that stuff is because Becky is so good. She is one of the most beautiful criers I've ever seen in daytime. You're just
so good.
How are you doing this? Like, okay, here's one of my hot takes with Liz. I'm gonna need one person in her life to tell her it's okay to not hop on a dick real quick and like to, mourn her husband, because literally every single person she knows, including her own son, is like, can you hurry up and hop on a dick so I can be happy? Because I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I'm like,
it's only been a year. It's not even been a year. Let her grieve. You're right. You're right.
Everyone was just like, go hop on a dick.
Yeah, Terry.
Which is probably what the advice I would have given too, but I understand why you would want some different advice.
It makes sense for Chase to say that to Finn, because Finn like was in a relationship and they broke up and like you're not getting back together and like she's clearly moving on. So, get back out there, Finn. But like Elizabeth's husband died. This is not a Lucky situation where it's like, come on, Liz, Lucky's in Africa, hop on a dick. It's like, no. Her husband's on the ground and he's dead, and now people are torching things and locking her in rooms and moving.
Or she's torching things.
Or she's doing it. I would prefer that. But like, can someone just be like, you know what? It's okay to have feelings, Elizabeth. It's perfectly fine to have feelings.
I mean, even better, and I loved what Sandra said, this is a while ago, is I really wish, like when you said it, I was like, damn, I'm salty we never got it. Was for them to like have her like heal through art. Because I think one of the reasons it's easy to be like, girl, go hop on a dick is because like, we have not seen her grieve. It's just been like very sporadic. It's not been, but like if we were able to see her go through a grieving process, and to your point, that's something I think Becky would have played perfectly. And we just missed it. We missed out on it. And it was really unfortunate. That's why I hope that she does have DID. I hope that we get this like Carson fallout. And so we can stop seeing them 4 to 5 days a week. And then we actually do get like a proper DID storyline for her, because I think it would give her the opportunity to play beats that she wasn't able to play with Elizabeth. They really, once they stopped writing for the hospital, they really had Elizabeth written into a corner. Like, she's not independently wealthy. She doesn't have nannies. She doesn't have a lot of family on the show. So all of the things that other people are able to do, like you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not able to do in the same way. So if she had DID, she was like, I'm not sleeping. I'm like, yes, because your other alter is taking over at night. I know how this goes. I know soap DID when I see it, or when I hope for it.
I would love that. My last hot take, and it's not going to be that long of a rant, but Sonny Corinthos.
Tell us. I'm ready.
Sonny Corinthos is learning that relationships are hard when they're not based in the fantasies of a freaking mad woman. It turns out when you're not just living some crazy 65-year-old woman, that's based off of the timeline of the show. I know that Cynthia Watch was a beautiful woman. Let me just throw that out there. But when it's not based in like 60-year-old Nina's crazy 17-year-old teenage girl fantasies, you actually have to be honest and have real conversations about what you're doing and like the lies you've told and the lives that have been destroyed. It turns out relationships aren't that easy. Like, stuff was so much easier in Nixon Falls when it was based in lies. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then you had this Ned and Sonny conversation, and then people are like, well, Ned stayed at home. Ned, that was his home. There was never a question about Ned leaving the Quartermaine mansion. It was whether or not Olivia was going to leave, because she owns a hotel. And then they decide to stay. There's wings and stuff like that. Carly wants to leave, she can leave. Where was Sonny's apology? Show me one scene where Sonny's apologized for anything. For anything. And this is going back to like 2000, what was it, like 5, when it came out like he's banging Sam, knocking her up, putting her across the hall with Jason. And then had the nerve to make their breakup Carly's fault because she knew for 2 weeks that Christina was actually his daughter. Now it's her fault because she's not honest. Audacity. Audacity. And then this whole, like, why doesn't she just go home? Why would she go home? Where's the apology? Where's the, and then it's like, oh, she shouldn't have to apologize. Sonny shouldn't have to apologize for falling off a bridge. No one's saying he should have to apologize for falling off of a bridge. They're saying he should have to apologize for his wife being embarrassed by the entire Eastern Seaboard when his love fest came out in open court. When she could have known the day she told him about Jason, which was exactly 3 days after he got home. So I'm really confused about how Carly's love for Jason, which has existed for 25 years, is all of a sudden a problem. Sonny loves him just as much. Like, I really want to make that Netflix, like Sonny owns the account, Carly knows the password, Nina thinks she's the password, Jason is the password. That's how that goes. And so this whole thing, like, Carly's cheating on with Jason. He's been cheating on her with Jason for 25 years. So,
yeah,
like, there is no way where I could see how any of this is Carly's fault. Everything goes back to Nina's lies. Literally. What was her excuse for not telling Carly again? Oh, Carly.
She wasn't nice to me on the phone.
Mean to me.
What's also her excuse for not telling her that Sonny is off his meds? Because Lisa called that too. Like, how hard did you try to tell her? You were like, she needs you. And then he's like, Sonny doesn't want her to know.
It was really important that they were in Nixon Falls. And they spent that time there. Because if they didn't, how would they have taken down that one black gentrifier?
Oh. Heroes.
The heroes of our time.
I just want to say that the whole time Tara was talking, Tracey was like, this is my song. This is my song. Just wanted to put that.
I'm like that Michelle Obama meme, like, shit. Yes, everything you said, check. I mean, I am an unapologetic Carly fan. I know it's not popular on Twitter, but check them Instagram comments. But anyway, so I know it's not popular. But you know, I actually am very stubborn. I don't know, Sandra, if you can tell me where that is in my astrology. There we go. There we go. So when people don't like something I kind of like, I dig in even further. So I go harder for Carly than I actually even care to go because of how hard people come at her. I'm like, no, this is wild. And I think, you know, we started talking about like the Lucky Liz, like we talk about this all the time, it's my shit. Like the Lucky Liz affair and like that fallout. And I think that I got spoiled because that was a level of fallout I expected for Nixon Falls. So it wasn't that I never expected for Sonny and Nina to get together. It wasn't like I'm invested in Carly and Sonny as a relationship, because I'm not a Carson fan. I actually think that, here's the real tea, I think that Carly can carry other relationships, and I think that Sonny cannot. Tell me Sonny's other super couples that aren't Carly or Brenda.
That part.
Well, you can tell me plenty of couples that people really enjoyed Carly in. So
Jason, Todd, Jax.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that, you know, like the backlash on Carly, people are like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen and it's gonna stick it to Carly. Let me tell you something about my bitch Carly. She ain't never been alone or lonely. So you know how people need to stop telling Liz to hop on dick? I'm telling Carly, hop on a dick immediately. And it's probably gonna be Drew. And that's gonna be make people really mad. Because I know it's like those GH Dream fans who are not gonna like it. But that's the point. Like Carly being humiliated might feel like whatever for you now, but she's not actually like the other women who they will humiliate and leave alone. Like when they had like the Jay Sam breakup and they had Sam out here looking wild, that was like in what, 07, 08? That's not gonna happen to Carly. So what you're gonna end up seeing is more of her. Cause like you're gonna see the fallout of her talking about how fucked up Sonny is. Then you're gonna see the buildup of whatever relationship or relationships she enters, and it's not that many men on the canvas. So that means that whatever man that she's with, it's gonna be messy. So you should be preparing yourself to see even more Carly than you saw before. That's one. The next thing is, I'm not gonna be gaslit into believing that Sona is a love story. People are like, I don't like the setup. What setup did you think was gonna happen for a woman who kept this man from his family for 6 months? I know that the 9-month thing was too much. That was a bridge too far. The bridge that Julian fell off too far for people with but like people were just like freaking out. It wasn't 6 months, it was 9 months. It's cool. As I said before, last episode, sometimes you just don't like a bitch. And a lot of the energy for Carly is, look at that bitch drinking water. And I respect it. Because a lot of times in my message board days, back in the Jason Dick Wars, that's how I felt about Elizabeth. So I get it. You just don't like Carly. But that does not mean that other things that are happening are cute. Or like, you know what I'm saying? I actually am really excited for this affair so that people can stop saying. So like, spoilers drop. It looks like Nina is gonna go to the Haunted Star, sleep with Sunny. Maybe Carly will find out or like catch them. I've been looking for this. This is soapy. We've been asking for an affair. This shit should have happened months ago. Mm-hmm. Because as childish as we are saying that the teen scene is, this Nina Sona shit has been even more childish.
Well, so like, I'm ready for it. Matured since she went into her coma. She's stuck at like 22 or however old she was then. So emotionally, she's like in the same place as the kids, behind probably.
For real.
Yeah.
And bringing up that 9 months thing, I really like how people on Twitter cannot live with the fact that Carly and Michael say 9 months, but I'm supposed to accept this Willow birth certificate nonsense. Like, where's the line? Like, you can't let them say every time it comes out of Carly's mouth, there's at least 17 tweets about this. Like, it was 6 months. But like, Libby, I looked up what happens when you don't have a birth certificate. So this is not even a thing. This is not even a thing. So if you don't have a birth certificate, what happens is all you need to do is show like school records or, from when you were a kid, because I'm sure Willow went to school somewhere.
On the compound, maybe she didn't.
Yeah, for real. And some like establishing documents with like addresses in the US around the time that like things that Harmony would be able to get really easily. And they will literally, and being a white woman helps, it'll literally just establish that you were born here. And like Harmony can literally come, like the tale she has is like the most perfect tale because it's like, that's what they deal with these situations, people who are off the grid in cults. And it's actually not a deep thing to not have a birth certificate. So like Harmony could literally just go to Willow and be like, here's what's up. I was in a cult. You understand. You know me. I was in a cult. I did not get you.
You know how I did.
I forged it. Let's go get this. Lex is going to help us. It's not even a real thing. Like, so we're making this a thing. And then on the flip side, what I was trying to say is that like, I understand if you don't live in the US, your birth certificate is probably not that important. It's probably something you just like have locked away or you flash it. It doesn't matter. The United States for the past, I don't know, like 70 to 100 years has had what's known as an immigration problem. And so in this immigration issue that we've been dealing with for more than a century, birth certificates matter. And in the last 10, 15 years, the US government has established what is known as E-Verify, which means that every government document you submit anywhere is checked against the background, like the database of the US government. And so if you submit a fake social security number or a fake birth certificate that cannot be traced back to a vital records office in the US, it'll get flagged immediately.
So how did Willow get married is what you're saying?
Yes. How has she lived? How'd she go to college? Because like your social security number is tied to your birth certificate. Mm. And so if you did not have these things, like it would have been flagged already. This is like a 1970s type storyline.
I mean, it's the same. Like I am willing to suspend disbelief for a lot of stuff. And we were talking about this a little bit online where it's like, I can suspend disbelief for aged up kids or for whatever, but there are times when it just feels lazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is one of those times. So the like storyline with Trina and Esme, like in the drugs, y'all went through all this drama. I'm not even asking you because the reality is, in order to get narcotics, Kevin would have been called anyway.
Right.
In order when you get narcotics from the pharmacy, I got like a muscle relaxer, and they called my doctor back. Like, you actually don't get it. Like, somebody would call and be like, "Did you prescribe this thing?" I was like, you know what, whatever, cool. But what I didn't expect is for them to breeze over like the impact of drugs, because like we have an opioid crisis in this country.
Yeah.
And just like we would never breeze over like facts around Robin's HIV diagnosis. Like they've actually been very meticulous with that. When she got with Patrick, like giving real information about what that looked like. Yeah, it was soapy, and like Scrubs was soapy as a couple and all of that, but they never use that as an excuse to give like false information about HIV. In the same ways they didn't use it as an excuse to give false information about Sonny's bipolar diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Like Phyllis was even saying, like, your brain chemistry isn't right, you know, all of that shit. And it wasn't just like, it isn't like you take a pill and then it's better. Like, she was naming that this shit is gonna be a minute, right? And so why are we skirting that same thing with narcotics? Like, there is like things to suspend disbelief around, and then there are things that are like, what does this even mean? So I only kind of care about the birth certificate if it means that we get like some mess, but I definitely understand why people will be like, this is stupid.
For me, like, I totally want the mess, and I've been saying I want Nina to be Willow's mother forever, that it made more sense than Nell always. For me, it's that like, because we are asked to suspend our beliefs so many places with weather machines and aliens, and Alan Quartermain's ghost was on contract for 3 years, and you know, Sunny is the moral center of this town. Like, if you're gonna pull from like actual events, if you're gonna pull from like real life things that happen, then those are the things you have to, like with the AIDS, like with TJ getting racially profiled, like with Dev in his immigration status. Mm-hmm. That like, we've already established that the US government is like looking for things, that like, this isn't a situation where you could just be in and out of Port Charles, you know, that you need certain documentation. Is that like, at a certain point, this show is asking us to do too much. It's asking us to suspend too much belief in too many places, to where like, I am harping about birth certificates while someone else is harping about 9 months over 6 months. It's that like, at a certain point, this show is taking us all like a bridge too far, and it's all in different places, which leads to us all disagreeing, because like, the people who can forgive birth certificates are not the ones who forgive the 9-month thing, you know. And so now it just becomes this sort of bitch fight, because we don't have adults in the writing room being like, well, you know, maybe Willow finds out that this was forged by like actually using her eyes and looking at it. Or maybe someone rejects it finally. They're like, honey, right, it ain't real. This is a copy. We need the original. But instead, it's like this whole, like, she's just been walking around with like a photograph, like a handwritten on like some line paper.
A Post-it.
This child was born.
I mean, like, she would have needed a birth certificate to like change her name.
Well, and she had one. Is the thing.
Yeah, that's what they said, that she had it, and then she's been using it to the last. They also messed that up, because the last time she used it was for her marriage to Michael. Which, like, did you not file paperwork with Chase? I don't understand. You were definitely married to Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we gotta know. That's right. I forgot about that.
It's so hard when you get married or annulled so many times in 1 year. I mean,
snap.
Thing. Well, and I think that part of it too is like, part of the fun of soaps is also like understanding the parameters of the reality that you're working with so that you can guess what's going to happen or be surprised or whatever. But like, there is like a certain amount of agreed upon reality. Like, we know sorest kids, that's a thing. So you could, like, when a kid is all of a sudden older, you're like, hey, I've been waiting for that, actually. I'm not even surprised. And I think that's another issue with GH is that it and you know, Tracey, you've talked about this a lot, is that it doesn't always acknowledge that it's a soap opera. It like tries to be something that it's not. And I think that's part of the reason why people get hung up on the details, because we forget so often that we're actually watching a soap because it's not that soapy most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, that's why I'm looking forward to this fucking weather machine.
Yes. Oh, can't wait. And then, you know, I was like thinking about when Stephen Colbert was like making fun of Ingo Rademacher after he was like gonna sue and all that bullshit. And he did this whole like kind of thing like, you came from this show where this person had a twin, and this like in like I was like, oh, I would love to watch what he's actually laying out. But GH like has done so much to like go away from that. We started rewatching or like watching Days, and so I was thinking about how amazing of a villain Stefano DiMera was, and how he's had Auntie stressed out, you know, since the 80s. But like, nobody ever tried to make Stefano DiMera the moral center of the show. Like, he was a villain. Like, you do villainous shit, you are a villain. And that's actually not the case with Sonny. And so it's almost like, for me, you either need to be in the mob or you need to be who you're trying to be. Because like seeing Sonny like talk to Leo, I'm like, didn't he kill his daddy? Why are you at Monica's house?
Why are you Uncle Sonny?
Why are you Uncle Sonny in Monica's house?
No Corinthi should be allowed in Monica's house.
No.
But I mean, that's the issue. I think that's the best way to phrase it, is that this show breaks its own rules. It breaks the rules of its universe and it creates new rules based off of plot. And so now, like, when we needed Dev's immigration status to be an important plot point for Cyrus Renault's blackmailing the Corinthi, birth certificates matter. Now that we need Willow to be Nina's daughter or whatever, now they don't. Now you could just breeze through life without one. And it's just not the same as like a weather machine. Like, we know weather machines are not real. And so with it, like, if you're, if you're going through that, like, who knew? But like, if you're going with that story, you just come in with this like, okay, well, I know this is like fantasy and yada, 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 weather machine. But when you bring in so much real stuff, like you guys were saying, the bipolar, the AIDS, like racial stuff, all that stuff, you can't just sort of skirt it under the rug when it doesn't fit your plot. Like, I don't have time to put a drug PSA in for the Trina. Then don't drug Trina. Like, we solved it. We solved it. Like, just don't do it.
Boom.
You know.
I have just a couple hot takes I was going to drop, and then we can move, because I know that it's going to be a little bit more discussion in the predictions this time, because we're going to do some forward-facing stuff. So the first thing I wanted to say is, like, I understand why Kelly fans were mad. It wasn't my ministry, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love Sam, I love Kelly, but it's because we never see her, and so much gets played off screen, and so now we needed a recast, because it wouldn't be such a sticking point if we had seen Kelly before this. Now, I look at the scenes and I'm like, oh, it's very clear to me why they had to bring in Lindsay, because like these were like important moments that Sam needed to be there for, but to me, it was just like a reminder that, one, if it ain't your business, just keep scrolling. Why you gotta like troll these damn Kelly fans? Let them be. Because they're talking to each other. Like, they're not hopping into mentions of other people like, fuck you, I don't like whatever X character, but because I want Kelly here. That's not what they're doing. Y'all are like just finding them and like quote tweeting them and kind of bullying them. That's kind of fucked up.
Kelly fans have been through enough. Just let them be upset. Let them be, and I'm a little upset too.
Yeah.
But not as, but I get it. And just like, let people be upset. Goddamn.
Especially because things were moved, like big stuff was moved when other people had COVID. Like they moved the entire Charlie wedding when Steve had COVID. We all know this. And
when we know that it's actually very easy to recast Jason.
I can come in and be the recast of Jason and have more emotion. Anyway.
The role of Jason Morgan will now be played by Tracey Corder.
That's why I'm taking this acting class, so I can go be the new Jason. You heard it here first. Victor quoting Victor sent me. Like it was, I loved it.
Who said that? Me, actually.
A great man.
A great man.
A great man once said. Drew Lavery, you gotta start, you gotta be direct with that chemistry. You have to stop having indiscriminate chemistry with everybody. He does not care if you're related to him. He's like, Michael, come on, I'll have some chem with you too. He has just, you gotta direct that. You know what I'm saying? Like, calm down.
So it just makes me feel like Drew Matheson has like goldfish brain, and like he's not internalizing any of like even the prior scenes.
No,
but I do want to say, to give him some credit, I felt like the scene with him and Carly felt a little different. I felt like instead of game show host, which is what he usually gives in scenes, he was giving like motivational talk show host. And I appreciate the differentiation.
It was true. He was like, okay, so let's think about it. So you said, look behind me on the board. This is what you said. Yeah, and he did. He was giving that. When he was talking to Britt, he was definitely giving like Kelly Clarkson giving an interview. Like it was.
I loved his line, that's a low bar for happiness.
And I'm just like, Cameron Matheson probably got that script. I was like, who the fuck is Oscar?
I know I did. Like, I need him to stop being sad about not being Jason. Can we stop having him repeat that line? Like, I'm so sorry, Jason. My bad.
I'm not.
I'm not sad that you're not Jason. I don't even really fuck with you.
Them like having him flash back to Sunny calling him fake Jason gave me life. Like
that scene was so cringe. I was like, God damn, Sunny, why you come for this? But even like in the scene where they were talking about Oscar, I'm one of the few people, I'm one of one who actually liked Oscar. Like nobody else I know. I love A Walk to Remember. I love the A Walk to Remember storyline. I was into it. I bought it. I cried when Oscar died. I have no shame. And it was so weird that when they were talking about him, Sunny started talking about Jason and not about Morgan. You lost a child, Sunny. Did you forget? Or we only talking about your boyfriend?
He did. He did the same thing with Brando and Sasha.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was like, when I lost Jason. I mean,
but if Carly would have done that, then it would have been made fun of. I'm just saying.
I will never forgive this show for making Oscar Nero Quartermain and not Trina. So. And then yes, and they had Edward and Lila take him to heaven. And I was like, this is bullshit. First of all, Edward is 100% not in heaven.
No.
Just FYI.
That was like what Monica was like, some couples run like whatever, like me and Alan and Edward and Lila.
You Monica. Alan and Rick Weber, or you Alan and Lucy? Which you and Alan, Monica? Which you and Alan are we talking about?
Now don't be
Alan and Susan Moore?
Don't be bringing actual show history into this. Right. General hospital, okay.
Every time someone say Monica and Alan, I'm like, which one are you talking about? What decade? 2007 when he died? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I want to be that Alan and Monica because they didn't have anything to do except die.
They weren't trying to kill each other, like literally.
Mm-hmm. That was the year after they stopped having Monica do things. Because the year before in 2006, she was like drunk running down Sam.
Oh, yeah.
She did use her as a road.
That's right. I remember that.
It's a
That's
golden
when that was like, she had like a scene where she had inappropriate chemistry with Tyler Christopher. Sam did. Because they were, I was like, that's why y'all can't be cousins, because it looks gross.
It works for the Cassadines because they're an inappropriate family, inappropriate kissing cousins. That's why they're crazy. It's inbreeding. It's that royalty.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Spinelli out here babysitting Maxie's kids.
He's the new Max.
I am undone. Like, what?
The new Mac. He's gonna be police commissioner soon.
He's the new Mac. Oh, just raising everybody else's kids.
And y'all know, if you follow me on anything, you know I don't fuck with the police. But when Spinelli like compared Dante to Jason, I was like, what is happening? Where are the police people? Like, y'all not mad about this? This is crazy.
I actually had to make a tweet about that. I was all like, okay, if Sam's gonna be with Dante, that's fine. But what we're not about to do is compare Dante to J-Sam. That's what we're not about to do.
No.
Not at all.
No.
And I agree for different reasons.
But I mean, because we got to see J-Sam. But just it's a no. And Spinelli, I'm watching you because you're not really Sam's friend. You were Jason's friend. And you made that shit abundantly clear during the Jarly debacle. So I'm watching you, Spinelli, like you watching Maxie's kids.
That's what I also want to say to like, I think some Sunny fans are mad at me about my Sunny position. If people remember, I was extremely anti-Jarly and I was offended for comatose or amnesic Sunny all summer long.
I remember.
All summer long. So, you know, this is a turn. It's not like I've just always been Team Carly. I flip-flop with Carson all the time. I just happened to be on Carly's side this time. In 2007, I was on Sunny's side.
Because Sunny is all the way wrong. What am I watching in these conversations? If Carly was gonna work it out, why did she leave? So she could have some space.
Also, I've just remembered Ned did leave, just to go back to what you were saying before, Tara.
It was a days.
He was gone for he was out of the Q mansion for like a year.
That's right.
And he did that because because Olivia needed space and he didn't want her to have to leave the house, her and Leo. Mm-hmm. So again, why are y'all making me defend Ned?
For real.
Because the thing about it is, for Sunny, and I know we're gonna get into this in a little bit, so I won't go too far into it. The thing about it for Sunny is that Sunny knows he is a mess. And so he is like, okay, Carly, you got to be with me every moment of every day. We can't be apart because if we're apart, I'm going to fuck Nina. And if that's the kind of relationships that some of y'all want to be in, get some, I recommend everybody get therapy. Everyone, especially if the kind of relationship you want to be in is with a man who would fuck somebody else the second he wasn't around you.
Because that's what he's about to do, because Nina left a death trail on her way from Charlie's to the Haunted Star on Friday. As soon as she found out Sunny was alone, and we know that Carly is on her way because that bum Christina misinterpreted a phone call. And so now Sunny's like, well, Carly's not coming. I guess I have permission to bang Nina.
And he said it like, well, this is the ultimatum, right? Like, I have embarrassed you. I don't know why you're embarrassed. What embarrassment? But like, you're upset. And if you don't stop being upset on my timetable, on my terms, that must mean that you don't want to be together. Free my girl Carly. I can't wait for her to be a mess all over Port Charles. And I will be celebrating. I'm going to be dropping songs that should go on your Sona playlist. Top of, I don't know if you know Monica, of Monica and Brandy, Monica Denise of the Monica from Atlanta. But Sideline Ho is one of my favorite Monica songs. And it should be at the top of your Sona playlist. Also, Secret Lovers is what we are. Also, Changing Faces, Fooling Around. I suggest that you look these up on Apple Music because we're not fucking with Spotify. We're gonna probably pull our podcast from Spotify soon. So I suggest you just Google best songs about cheating and make a playlist for your couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna enjoy it because I love an affair. So I'm not mad about the affair. Let me just also be clear. I'm not mad about the affair. I am mad that we're not acknowledging what's happening because I would actually probably like it if Nina was like, I'm going to get my man. But it's the back and forth of when she's with Liesl, I don't want to be the woman who is the reason Sonny and Carly break up. Girl, I'm sorry, I said that too loud. I don't want to be the woman who is the reason. that, yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's giving mistress, and that's fine. I love a soap mistress, and if people want to root for a soap mistress, that's fine too. I have rooted for mistresses before. I'm just not rooting for the mistress this time because there wasn't enough fallout for me.
Ava would have been the best mistress because she wouldn't give zero fucks. She would not care.
Yes,
she don't care right now.
No, and she about to use the shit to get her daughter back.
She didn't care back in the day when she was stealing Nina's husband, so.
Didn't care about Laura when she thought that was Kevin?
Sure did.
She sure did it.
She was like, honey, I'm going to be Mrs. Kevin Collins.
Oh, so embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing. Yikes. I was like,
I'm embarrassed all over again.
Yeah.
Even Laura was like, oh, honey.
All is forgiven.
Laura was like, you've been through enough. You won't have to go through me.
I forgive you. In fact, you're going to be my new project. Oh.
Yes. And I'm going to like you more than I like my son because he's trash.
Yeah.
What else did I have? It was something about, when Phyllis was talking to Nina or talking to Sonny, and she was like, Sonny was like, Nina took me home. Phyllis was like, who's home? That was, Phyllis was, I'm like, thank God we have somebody who's putting this in perspective because the writers, I don't know if it's because they just don't want Nina to be a villain. I don't know or vixen, because I don't think it's a villain, but that I think has been the reason I've been so anti-Sona is that I will not be gaslit by a couple. This is not romantic. And if you play it look, we are so hot and heavy for each other, we can't stay away from each other. Those are the kind of affairs I'm into. Not the emotional, I've been emotionally cheating on my wife for months, but now people are trying to make me feel bad, make me feel bad for the wife who's been emotionally cheating on for months. No. So anyway, I'm excited for next week for the fallout because, I'm a mess. And I guess I will leave it. Oh, I'm also mad at Laura Wright. This is where I'll end. I'm very mad at Laura Wright. Because she wore those earrings to that wedding.
I knew it was coming.
And what did I do? I hacked my ass right online and I bought them expensive ass earrings and I ain't going nowhere. So when I get them in the mail, I guess I'll debut them here because I don't be out the house. So you will see my Laura Wright earrings. I'm really mad at her. I was like, why Laura gotta post the link? Laura, don't do that.
Tracey, why does this always happen to you?
Why does this always happen to me?
I'm so sorry.
I've been attacked by Laura Wright.
I just have one thing, and
Please
it is free Valentin. Get Bay out of that trunk. Where is he? I need eyes on Valentin. Where is he?
Mm-hmm.
They keep saying oh, it's only been an hour. Okay, so the Friday started on Tuesday this week. Mm-hmm. Friday's episode started on Tuesday, and it was a different episode than Monday, or a different day than Monday's episode, and it was a different day than last week. And so I'm like, how many days have passed since Monday? We have the teens, Spencer and Dollar Tree Nell are in the world's longest Uber. It lasted a week. And so Valentin has been in the trunk since before that went down, and now Tuesday became Friday.
It's easily at least 24 hours, and then you add in GH time magic, and it's been 2 weeks. I don't know. Because it's about to be Valentine's Day.
That's right.
But it was just the beginning of the end of January. But either way, I need to see him.
I need to see him. I need to know he's okay. I mean, I think Victor probably has him in the lap of luxury, but I need to see it.
I still need to see it.
When it inevitably the Cassadines kidnap Trina, yes. I want Trina to be living large when she is kidnapped.
Get the lethal suite.
Get the lethal suite with the lethal hair setup, the lethal makeup setup, the velvet robe, like everything. I need it all.
Like, Ms. Robinson, we've actually brought in someone who can help you with your natural hair. Are you okay with that? We know that it's different for you than it was for.
Exactly.
So yes, we want to see Valentin. We want to know that he's in Camp Kidnapped.
Yes.
And not still balled up in the trunk. I need him stretching his legs.
Yeah, although I have enjoyed Anna being worried about him. That's been.
Yeah.
But now I'm ready to see.
We're ready.
Speaking
and we are ready for you to take us into predictions and wild speculation.
Okay, so I'm going to go topic by topic. I'm going to read the spoilers for the week, and then I'm going to ask y'all to just wildly speculate. All right, this is how the game works. Okay, the raccoon fight. That is Carly, Sunny, and Nina. Monday, Carly rushes to GH. Nina is worried. Tuesday, friends and family anxiously hold vigil at GH. Tempers flare on the haunted star.
That's Tuesday?
Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a recap.
Wednesday, Carly and Drew are surprised to cross paths. Nina doesn't know what to say. Friday, Sunny checks on Phyllis, who has decked out Charlie's for the holiday in an unexpected way.
So my thought is that Carly must like find out because like she got the call or like they know whatever. So she rushes to the hospital, puts eyes on Dante, and is surprised if Sunny is not there. She can't reach him on his phone
because he's fucking like, Nina.
He's fucking Nina. So he shows up. She shows up to the haunted star, and she sees it go down.
And the tempers flare.
If she does not throw Nina out of the Metro Court after this, she needs to be running that magazine out of Kelly's. I swear to God.
And I need Xander Smith's kid to be like, you can't stay here neither.
Bobby said so.
Magazine
out of that coffee warehouse.
There you go.
Right in the dock.
So do you think, will it finally be done? Do you all think it'll be done?
No.
They just won't give. I just need more perspective from other characters. That is not. We have been watching the same Carson argument for like a month and a half, and it's so irritating to the point like where I feel like half of the audience is Team Sunny. Like, okay, Carly, he said he didn't say he's sorry, but like. He wants to be with you, so be with him. And then the other half is just like, stop saying the same fucking thing. If you have nothing else to say, go away. Leave this woman alone.
Sir, we're done.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think Phyllis has decked out Charlie's for the holiday in an unexpected way?
I don't even understand what that means.
For real.
I'm like, is it like a
piano?
Oh, make
it into the Tano.
Well, then she would have to have no customers.
I've seen Charlie several times empty since she's taken over.
Oh
my God.
That's all I'm gonna say. Managerial skills. Well, maybe they shouldn't have, given Christina's bar to Phyllis. I was thinking like some kind of like,
live music.
Oh God, no, please no. Maybe some kind of like funeral themed holiday. I mean, I know that's what GH thinks romance is, so maybe like
Valentine's Day.
The theme of Valentine's Day is like, oops, I stole your kidney, or
here's dead Lenny. Dead love this.
Oh, R.I.P. Lenny. I liked him.
Okay. Shall we talk about Wheezygate 2021?
Let's do it.
Monday, Maxie and Felicia await word. Tuesday, Maxie, BLQ, and Chase make a choice. Charlotte is worried about her father. Wednesday, Anna, Dante, and Laura put their heads together. Austin comforts Maxie. Under threat, Peter reveals how he's protected himself. Thursday, Maxie is faced with an impossible choice. Laura is relieved. Anna wants answers. Brooklyn somehow feels guilty.
Finally.
What do we think?
Well, obviously the baby switch is coming out this week. They have to, if they want someone to look for Bailey correctly, they have to say it's Louise. Because there's no reason to steal Brooklyn and Chase's baby. Like, there's absolutely no reason, unless they're gonna double down on their lie and be like, well, Peter is using our baby to replace his, and yada yada yada, which is like, oh, please don't do that. Like, this is too much. And
Please
so honestly, this has to be the end. Like, and I have no idea for the life of me why they would have the Sona blow up and the baby switch reveal on the same week.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
The Sona blow up will maybe be earlier in the week, and then it'll be baby switch.
Mac getting shot should be the only important thing on this show right now, not Sunny and Nina, having sex on the Haunted Star. Like, this could have been a last week issue. Like, why not just have them bang on Friday?
My attachment to Mac is so difficult for me, like, he's a fucking cop on the show and he's a MAGA in real life, and I still love him. I don't know. It's one of the hardest things for me with the show is the belief I must suspend the most.
I said this on Twitter, and I don't know how many likes it has now because I muted it, but like, this is Maxie's fault.
Yes.
This is Maxie's fault. And then, like, some people would comment back and they'd be like, I would also like to throw in Brooklyn and Chase. I said Maxie. This is Maxie's fault.
Oh.
And we're taking this back to 2017 when she thought it was a good idea to bang her dead husband's brother who caused his death.
Heinrich?
Because he changed.
Well, she just has a thing for men that deliver her babies. Okay.
Listen, if you deliver Maxie's baby, that you're in there.
Literally in there.
In there. They need to put Maxie back with Spinelli. That's my hot take. And I'm glad the Austin thing is happening now so they can, like, just not be. We've gotten 2 kisses from them. 2 real kisses? I don't want to see it.
I do not.
Stop making Austin and Maxie a thing. Stop trying.
No, not when there's
like, it's not happening.
It's just, no one wants that. I mean, I guess there are people that want that, but I certainly don't.
If Brooklyn doesn't get red, I'm gonna be so mad.
People will ship anything. That's what I've learned. That if something's on TV, people will ship it no matter how bad it is. That's why people like Dawson and Joey.
Exactly. I think my only additional prediction is that I'm hoping that we actually do get to see Eyes on Valentin on Tuesday because of the Charlotte spoiler. Like, it would be a good opportunity for them to do like a quick little Valentin, playing solitaire, being bored, waiting for Anna. It is like well within his wheelhouse. So we miss you, James. Oh, this is the C team for the week, but in my hearts, they're actually the A team. Work friends, Finn, Lizzie, and Harry. Thursday, Finn and Elizabeth learn the truth. Friday, as Terry prepares for her first date, Elizabeth makes a startling discovery.
Is the Finn Lizzie truth that they don't have any chemistry, or is it another truth?
I wish.
I did that poll, and I think it had like 400 like people who did it, And like it was like, what's the ship name of Finn and Liz? And I had like Fizz, Finn, Lizzie, and then like, I'm just a hater, so I don't care. Tell me why I'm just a hater, so I don't care. Got 75% of the vote.
That's right. I asked about what Fizz and Lizzie was, and somebody told me it was like I don't know, it was something very white. I don't remember. It was like something that I was like, I'm not gonna remember this for Black History Month. I refuse to put this in my wheelhouse.
No, there's no need to remember anything having to do with them. I just hope that they're like, their relationship is a sacrifice to like the DID storyline that I demand.
I demand you give Elizabeth DID and give her a personality, because that's what they did on One Life to Live with Jessica. And I actually liked Tess's boyfriend more than I liked Jessica with Antonio, which was anyway.
And I think it was the anniversary of Vicky and the Vicky and Dorian scene where Vicky's personalities first show up, and that was going around, and I was like, now this is a fucking soap. Oh, so good. Legends. I miss them so much. They're so good.
It was a soap.
Soap. Literate. Okay, and then finally, to close out on a more positive note.
Yes.
What do we see for Sprina or want to see now that we know they're kind of like restarting their arc?
Yes. Oh. I just love that everybody's hands instantly went together, like, oh,
our babies. Well, I of course would love to see Trina visit him in prison.
I know.
Can you please give makeup? Are you about to debut your want?
Oh,
are you ready?
Okay, so what I have wanted since we found out for sure that Spencer is going to prison for 30 days is for some dangerous situation to arise where either he needs to get out to do something to help save Trina, or she needs to get him out to get him away from Esme and Ryan, and they do a Sprina prison break. And it happens on day 29 of his sentence, not a day earlier. That's what I want.
Finalize it.
Finalize. Put it in there. I want for Spencer to like be really clear about who Esme is.
Yes.
Through like being in Spring Ridge with her, and be like really worried for Trina. Because doesn't Laura come visit Spencer? Isn't that like a spoiler or something? Yes. So what I want is for him to warn Laura about Trina, because I want more Laura Trina time. And then for them to like figure out, for like Sprina to team up once Spencer gets out to take down Esme and whatever force she is helping with, because we still don't know. Yeah, that's what I want.
I want, and this is like dedicated to Jen M, who's constantly trying to get Anna Duvane shot. I need Trina sick. I need her. It's almost the exact same thing that you said, Sandra. Like, I need something to go down with like what Dollar Tree now did to Trina, and she ends up in the hospital. And like day 29, Spencer's like, I gotta break out and see Trina. What do you mean Trina's in the hospital? Like, I know it's one day, but I can't. Like, I can't. I'm out of here 3 more years. Lab Pinneville. I need to make sure Trina's okay. Kind of reminiscent of like Sunny, Ava, and Julian breaking out of Pentonville, so Sunny could throw the bomb off, could jump off the Honda Star with a bomb, and get a governor's pardon. Somehow Spencer gets the governor's pardon. I don't know how.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna go to Pentonville because of this, but he, Trina. She's also finding out that Curtis is her dad. She has feelings. Spencer's there because he's got a lying ass bitch for a father, so he knows about these things. But it's gonna be so difficult for her because Portia is Portia and Nicholas is trash, and so I just want Spencer to be there for her. But yeah, I think I need Trina not dead. Like she definitely needs to pull through, but I need her injured in some way. And I need Spencer to break out of jail.
As an Anna fan, I completely and totally understand. I completely and totally understand.
I'm not ready for Trina to be Imperial, but I hear you. What I actually want for the storyline with so I don't want Portia to like completely know that Curtis is her dad, because I actually really like Portia, and so like that's why it's been like so hard to invest in her outside of her relationship with Trina, because I'm like, there's this like huge lie that we know is there. So I want her to like not know. And we already know that there's like some health stuff with Hat Daddy. So I want him to like come into the hospital, like need something, right? Like I don't know what it is, but need something. And Portia, seeing how hard it is for Curtis, decides that her love for him is enough for her, so that they can break up, because I'm ready for that to be over. Her love for him is enough for her to test Trina to see, and then so Trina is the person who saves Hat Daddy. And that way there's like a shorter bridge between her becoming like integrated into the Ashford family. I know people don't really like it, but I love Aunt Stella. I love me some mess, and Aunt Stella is the queen of it. So I want weekly coffees with Phyllis and Stella, just like talking about how crazy the white people are, really similar to what they do with like Jackie on Days, and she'd be like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I want that for them. And I want Stella to be Trina's auntie. Like, I want that, like the great auntie relationship. And I think that would like bridge it. And then I want something to be going on with Portia. Her get sick or something, or maybe even Trina in peril that brings Trina back to Portia.
You want her to be auntie or something else?
Grandma.
Does she even, because that's what that was my one prediction, is like, what if Stella is the odd card in this whole house of cards of the Ashfords? Because like we get Curtis's perspective is from a child. Marshall clearly has something on Stella. That's the only reason she's not running through the streets of Port Charles being like, here's everything he's ever done and why he's a trash human being. Kind of like she did with Jordan and kind of like she did with Sean.
Yes.
But this man who literally walked out on your sister and your nephews, you're just like, well, maybe you should hear him out, Curtis. I don't know. Like, oh. And so when Phyllis said that, she was like, oh, like, do I know you from somewhere? Do I recognize you? I'm thinking, like, what if Phyllis and I cannot remember her name because it never comes up, but Thomas and Curtis's mom were actually sisters, and like Stella was their friend. And then we know Phyllis had a falling out with her family and she left. And Stella comes in, sleeps with Thomas's dad, has Curtis. They raise Curtis and Thomas like sister wife status, but because of the times, they're like, we'll just tell you that you're the mom, you know. But like Stella wants to be around her son, so she becomes her sister.
Oh.
And now they have this like whole, she's got this lie, she's juggling so many things because like Phyllis is somewhere in there. She knows these Black people because the soap is that basic, and they're gonna have every Black person in Port Charles somehow know each other from back in the day, from the neighborhood.
From back in the
neighborhood. And so like
the streets of Boston, or no, Baltimore. A very tough place to grow up, or whatever the fuck I heard it say.
Complicated place.
Yes. And so that's my thing. And I would it'd be good for the Ashfords to give them something to do to make it soapy.
I also want them to bring back the Ward family. They don't have to like only have one Black family. And it's really trash that we have no Wards.
I wanted Justice to be Trina's father. I've said this several times.
Okay.
Because then Portia, he's dead, so we don't need him. It's fine, but she's still related to the Quartermains. She's still Edward's great granddaughter.
I mean,
Tracey, or not Tracey, Monica would be like, here's a room, here's a wing, here's a mansion, you gotta move here.
And you're my new favorite.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know if you know this, but this is my house because Alan gave it to me.
Yep. And then it would really pay homage to the Emily character they're trying to turn her into. She'd be a Quartermain.
It's all too good to happen. I have one last Sprina thing, which is that Yeah, I do think that, well, we'll find out about Ryan. I hope that we'll find out about him during February sweeps. And see like that actually happen. I believe there's a spoiler for that anyway, but it just makes sense time-wise. I would love for Spencer to put the pieces together and for him coming out of Spring Ridge to try and keep some distance from Trina to protect her while he's trying to figure out what to do. And then it just failed miserably because they're working at the gallery together and they obviously like cannot stay away from each other. And that they have their affair because he finally just has to tell her the truth and that they plot together and they like are together behind Esme's back. I know that's a controversial thing to say because a lot of people are like want Spencer and Esme to be squared away before Trina and Spencer get together. And I do not want that. Give me my mess. Let my Trina be messy in the most rootable way possible because we're all rooting for this. Come on, let her do it. That's what I want.
No, I love that. I don't consider Esme to really be his girlfriend, to be honest, because like he don't act like it. So why do I have to?
She's kind of the only one who does.
Yeah.
So.
And I also just want more. The more they are able to plot together, the better it is for them as a couple.
Yes.
Like the more time they are apart or having to wait for things to be squared away, like this, we have gotten so used to not watching a soap that when something soapy happens, we're like, this can't happen. No, this should definitely happen.
Just like 2014 Carson, when they were plotting against Ava, they were plotting against trying to keep AJ's murder covered up. They were just plotting all over the shop. Plotting is what keeps Carson together. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's Sona rise, whatever. The second he can't tell Nina something, he's telling Carly, and that's her in.
There you go.
Whatever Carly's there, he's not going to change the locks. So Carly's going to have a key to that mob compound for the rest of her life. If you don't believe me, Nina, ask Brenda Barrett.
Right there.
Walked into her woman's bedroom, was not concerned. She said, I got to talk to you, Sonny. It's about Michael.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sonny can do better than Carly, Carly can do better than Sonny, which is why I'm not a shipper. But I just think it's funny that people think that Carly is going to be down on her luck. She definitely will not. So good luck to y'all. Good luck to all involved.
And I will just say there are so many great couples who were started with plotting. Green and Leo, all my children, who I'll always anchor any of my shipping examples back to. So
Fave.
I'm frequently going back to the Green Leo blueprint and being like, how can we bring this into Sprina to be transparent?
Because so much of theirs was so good, and actually it was a little bit of some of the early Sprina buildup before we found out about Esme, which was like just them being together. It didn't have to advance plot. It was just them getting to know each other and us being brought into that world. And so we learned more about Trina's like love for art because of her relationship with Spencer. We learned that Trina was a snowboarder because of her relationship with Spencer. And she can't tell those basics that she calls friends, all of that, because they're not as cultured as Spencer.
No. Oh my God. Can you imagine Cameron talking about art?
I don't even know who Cameron is. Oh, do you mean
Xander Smith's child? Yeah.
Got it. Oh, no.
My bad.
No, I cannot imagine him talking about art.
That's all I have. And on that note.
Look, on that note.
Let's end on that note.
Well, do you have any other hot takes for the good of the order? Let me look through my notes really quick. Any other hot takes for the good of the order?
Just when Olivia walked down the staircase in her dress, I was like,
Olivia,
be still my heart.
Olivia, why did they have Esme dressed like Rose from Get Out? That like she looked like she was about to separate her Fruit Loops from her milk.
Yes,
I was terrified.
I think the last two I have are Ned's first promise to Olivia should have been to not bang drunk Alexis again. Just he never threw in being faithful once in his vows. Just gonna throw that. I noticed. I noticed. So you can't say he lied. The fact that we clearly don't know certain characters' perspectives bugs me. Christina with the whole Harmony thing. Like she was like, I don't know how to feel. And then it was just Alexis pontificating about how Harmony is super important to her. Now I'm here for the Harmony Alexis thing, but like Christina should have had opinions, not this like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, okay,
it's
great.
not my business.
Yeah, for real. And then
let Trina have some business. Let Christina have some business.
Yeah. And then my final thing is that I love that for me, I was actually happy with Laura Wright because I love that every time she saw Sonny this week, she looked like she wanted to fight him. Like every time she turned a corner, she was like, and then had to like like she was in this foyer just trying to not fight him in Olivia and Ned's wedding.
That moment was great.
Tracey told me.
Can I talk to you for a moment?
Tracey is the hero of that episode.
She was like, I'm just getting you out of here. Drew Lavery coming up and like flirting with Carly by the fireplace. He was like,
You look good.
This is about to be a mess, huh? I was like, damn, Carly, they finna hate Carly even more. Ooh, is that possible? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't remember if I already said it, but it's worth saying again. The only words that Spencer had to say to Esme at the gallery after she interrupted the Sprina almost kiss was to literally defend Trina. And that was it.
Yes.
Not say another fucking word to her. And I loved it.
It was so good. He just was not concerned with her. And then everybody's face around also was not concerned with her. Like, Trina, you gonna be okay? I know your man's leaving.
Not if I see you first.
Not if I see you first. And that's a ship. What can I say? I only ship the finest.
Only the finest.
You know, it's a blessing, not even a curse. Tara, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
This obviously more. This was so fun. You know, ship Sprina for good skin. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you again for having me.